Hello, everyone. Welcome to English Story Hub. Today, I want to tell you a life story that can help you practice English and also think about your own choices. Chapter 1. The Life I Thought Was Complete. If I told you that divorce did not destroy me but saved my life, would you believe it? Many people hear the word divorce and only think of failure and pain, but for me, it slowly became the first door to freedom. Let me tell you how my quiet, normal days turned into the biggest change I ever faced. This is the life I used to live, the life I once thought was perfect. My name is Maria. I am 68 years old and I live in a small town in the United States. People who meet me now say that I look calm and strong, but that is not the whole truth. I was married for more than 40 years. When I say more than 40 years, I mean almost all of my adult life. I entered my husband's house as a young wife with bright eyes and a heart full of hope. But those dreams slowly changed into duties, and those hopes turned into rules. From the first morning of my marriage to the last evening before my husband left, I lived almost only for him. I cooked 3 meals a day. I washed his clothes. I ironed his shirts. I cleaned the floor and the windows. I made the bed perfectly and checked that his favorite cup was ready. I tried to make sure he never had to worry about anything inside the house. People praised me. They said I was a good, patient wife. For many years, I believed that was my only identity. I thought my value was in how well I served him. I did not buy clothes for myself without telling him first. I did not meet friends without getting his permission. I changed my hairstyle when he wanted. I even cooked food that I did not like, just because he liked it. My mornings started with his needs, and my nights ended with his moods. Sometimes I was tired, sometimes I was sick, but I told myself that real love must sacrifice. I thought that if he was comfortable, I should be happy. Maybe you want to ask me, did you not feel trapped? The strange truth is, at that time I did not even know I was in a cage. I thought all wives lived like this. I thought love meant giving everything and asking for nothing. One winter morning I had a strong fever. My head felt heavy and my body shook under the blanket. My husband stood at the door and said that he needed his blue shirt ironed. I got up slowly. While I pressed his shirt, tears came to my eyes. I hoped he would say, "Leave it. You need to rest." Instead, he said coldly, "Be careful. Do not make a mark on the fabric." That morning, something very small but very important broke inside me. But I still did not fight back. I told myself again, this is my duty. This is marriage. Wake up, cook, clean, wash, serve, sleep, repeat. I lost my hobbies. I forgot the books I once wanted to read. People outside believed that we were a perfect couple. They said, "Look at Maria. She takes such good care of her husband. She is lucky to have a stable life." That word lucky cut my heart every time, because deep inside I did not feel lucky. I felt invisible. I felt like a shadow following someone else's life. But I still held on to a small hope. I kept telling myself, one day he will see how much I did for him. One day he will thank me. One day he will hold my hand and say he is proud of me. I waited year after year, but that day never arrived. Instead, something else arrived. Something that changed everything. One quiet evening, he sat at the table. His face was serious. His eyes were far away. I thought he had a problem at work. I asked softly if he wanted some tea. He shook his head and said words that cut the air between us. "I want a divorce." For a moment I laughed, because I thought it was a bad joke. How could he say that after so many years, after so much of my life given to him? But his face stayed hard. My hands started shaking. My heart started beating fast. I begged him. I said, "We can fix whatever is wrong. I will change. I will do more. Tell me what you want." I was ready to bend even more, even though I was already almost on my knees. But he was not listening. His mind was far away from me. He said he wanted his freedom. He said he was tired. Those words felt like poison. Tired of what? I thought. I gave you all of me. I cooked, I served, I forgave, I stayed. What more did you want from me? That night I cried like a little girl left alone at a train station. I held his hand and begged him not to leave, but he pulled his hand away slowly, like I was a stranger. The man for whom I had lived every second of my adult life was walking out of the story, and I had no power to stop it. Chapter 2. 6 months of shadows. When my husband finally moved out, the house became silent in a new and painful way. The quiet was not peaceful. It was heavy, like a thick blanket over my head. I sat in the same chair for hours without moving. I waited for footsteps, for a key in the door, for his voice saying my name. Nothing came. The first night alone felt endless. I turned from side to side in the bed, listening to the clock. I hugged the pillow like it was a person. Morning did not bring comfort. I sat at the table with one cup of tea. My hand reached for a second cup by mistake. When I saw the empty place, my eyes filled with tears again. Day after day, I repeated the same sad routine. Wake up, cry, sit, remember, cry again, try to sleep. I had no energy to cook. I had no hunger to eat. Food tasted like paper. My clothes became loose because I lost weight. But I did not care. In my mind, a small voice said, "Why are you still here? The person you lived for is gone." I stopped answering the phone. Friends called and left messages. Some wanted to visit. Some wanted to give advice. The idea of listening to them made me more tired. When neighbors knocked on the door, I stayed quiet and pretended I was not home. I did not want kind eyes. I did not want soft words. I wanted the past, and the past was not coming back. At night, the cruelest thoughts came. A voice whispered in my head that I was old, that I was not beautiful, that no one would ever want me now. It said I was stupid for giving so much to one man. I believed that voice. I believed that I was nothing without him. I pulled the blanket over my head like a child hiding from a storm. Sleep did not come easily. As soon as I closed my eyes, memories came. His laugh at the start of our marriage, the way he used to hold my hand when we crossed the street in our early years. Then other memories pushed in. The moment he asked for divorce, the cold sound of his voice, the door closing behind him. These memories stabbed my heart again and again. Weeks slowly turned into months. 6 long months passed like this. 6 months of loneliness, of heavy silence, of crying until my head hurt. A few relatives told me on the phone that I was free now and could enjoy my own life. Their words felt like salt on an open wound. Free was not what I felt. I felt broken, like a glass on the floor. I avoided mirrors. I did not want to see my tired face, my red eyes, my sad mouth. Chapter 3. A question in the mirror. One evening I went to the bathroom and for a second I looked up. I froze. The woman in the mirror looked older than her age. Her shoulders were bent. Her eyes had deep, dark circles. Her hair was messy. I stared at her and whispered, "Who are you?" That question surprised me. I turned off the light quickly and left the room, but the question followed me everywhere. Who are you, Maria, if you are not his wife? A few days later, I decided to face my reflection again. My heart was beating fast as I walked toward the mirror. I turned on the light and forced myself to look. My eyes were still red. My skin was still pale. But this time, instead of turning away, I spoke in a low voice. Maria. It was the first time in many years that I asked myself anything about me, not about what he wanted or what others needed. The silence after my question was loud. The mirror could not answer, but my heart began to remember. I remembered a younger version of myself, a girl who used to draw small flowers in her notebooks, who loved to sing while washing dishes, who wanted to travel and see the ocean in other countries. Where did that girl go? I realized that slowly, year by year, I had put her into a box and closed the lid. I had called that box duty, marriage, respect. That night I could not sleep. Memories came, but they were different this time. I saw myself before marriage, laughing with friends, reading books, writing little poems that no one read. Tears came to my eyes, but they were not only tears of pain. On the first empty page, I wrote one simple sentence: I am still here. The words looked small, but they were bright on the white page. I wrote them again. I am still here. For the first time in half a year, I felt a very tiny spark inside, like a weak candle in a dark room. It was not strength yet. It was not joy, but it was something. Every day after that, I tried to add one more line. Some days I wrote, I feel sad, but I am breathing. Other days I wrote, I do not know who I am, but I want to find out. They were honest. I began to stand in front of the mirror for a minute longer each day. I looked at the woman there and tried to see more than her pain. I touched the glass lightly and said to my reflection, you are not only someone's wife, you are you. Chapter 4. The First Small Choices. After 6 months of only reacting to my pain, I decided to make one very small choice for myself. It may sound unimportant, but for me, it was big. One afternoon, I asked myself, if I did not have to think about anyone else for 1 hour, what would I like to do? The answer surprised me. I wanted to cook a meal that I liked, not the food my husband always asked for. So that evening, I went to the market and bought ingredients for a simple dish my mother used to make when I was a child. In the kitchen, I cut vegetables slowly. The smell of garlic and onion filled the air. When the food was ready, I put it on a nice plate and sat down alone at the table. At first, I felt strange, eating like this just for myself. But as I took the first bite, warm memories came back. I could almost hear my mother's voice. Tears rolled down my cheeks, but this time they were mixed with a soft feeling of comfort. It was like I was telling my body and my heart, you also deserve care. The next day, I opened a box from the top shelf of the closet. Inside it were old drawing pencils and a set of small paints that I had bought many years ago and never used seriously. My husband once told me that drawing was childish and a waste of time, so I had put them away. My hands trembled when I held the pencil again. I sat near the window and drew a very simple thing, just a cup of tea and a small plant. The lines were not perfect, but I felt peaceful. As the days passed, I continued to give myself small moments. A short walk around the block, 10 minutes of stretching with soft music, writing one page in my notebook. None of these actions were big or brave by themselves. But together they slowly built a new habit, the habit of taking care of myself. Chapter 5. From Hobby to Small Work. One morning my neighbor Anna came to visit. She saw my small drawing on the table and asked if I had made it. When I nodded, ADS non, her eyes lit up. She said it was beautiful and asked if I could draw a small picture of her dog. At first I said I was not good enough. She smiled and said she trusted me. For the next few days I worked on that small drawing. I tried my best. When I gave it to her, she was so happy that she hugged me. She even gave me a little money, even though I did not ask for it. That evening I held the money in my hand for a long time. It was not much, but it felt like proof that I was able to create something people valued. It was different from the money my husband used to give me, which felt like charity. This money came from my own work. Slowly, other neighbors began to ask for small drawings too. A flower, a cat, a view from a window. Sometimes they gave me a little payment. Sometimes they brought bread or fruit as thanks. I started to understand something important. My hands, which had always worked for my husband and my house, could also work for me. They could build not only a clean home for someone else, but also a new life for myself. One day, Anna suggested that I join a small weekend market in our town. She said there was a table free where local people sold handmade things. The thought of sitting there with my drawings, with strangers walking past and maybe judging my work, made my stomach tight. But another part of me felt curious. Could I really sell something I made with my own hands? After a night of turning in bed, I decided to try. The first Saturday I went to the market with a small box of drawings, some bookmarks, and simple greeting cards that I had made. My hands were shaking so much that I almost dropped the box. I put my things carefully on the table and sat behind it. At first, very few people looked. I felt like hiding. But then, a little girl came and picked up a card with a cat. Her face brightened. She asked her father if they could buy it. When they did, my heart jumped. During the next hours, more people stopped. Some only looked and smiled. Some asked about the price. Some bought one or two items. By the end of the day, my box was lighter and my heart was more full. I had not made a lot of money, but I had made something much more important. A new sense of myself. I went to the market again the next week and the week after that. I improved my designs. I learned which pictures people liked. I listened to their stories. My work grew. I bought better paper and colors. I kept my prices low so that normal people could enjoy my art. My savings slowly increased. I could pay my bills without fear. I could buy small things I liked without asking anyone. The best part was not the money itself, but the respect in people's eyes when they looked at my table. They did not see a sad, abandoned woman. They saw an artist, a worker, a person with something to offer. Chapter 6. Helping others while healing myself. Sometimes younger women came to my table and told me about their problems. They said they were tired in their marriages, or scared to live alone, or afraid to follow their dreams. I listened to them carefully. I shared pieces of my story when I felt they were ready to hear. I told them that I too had thought my life ended with divorce, but that slowly, step by step, I had found another path. Their faces changed when they heard this. Some had tears, some smiled with new courage. Each time I saw hope light up in their eyes, I felt my own hope grow stronger. A local community center heard about my drawings and invited me to teach a simple class for beginners. When they called me, I almost dropped the phone. Me, a teacher. The word sounded too big for me. But the woman on the phone said she had seen my work at the market and believed other people could learn from me. After thinking for a night, I said yes. On the first day of class, 12 women came. Some were young, some were older like me. Some were single, some married, some divorced. All of them were nervous. I was nervous too. But when I started talking about simple lines, basic shapes, and soft colors, my voice became more steady. I was not trying to be a perfect teacher. I was only sharing what I knew and encouraging them to enjoy the process. Week after week, the class continued. The women began to relax. They laughed when their drawings looked strange and felt proud when they made progress. We shared stories during the breaks. One evening after class, a woman named Julia stayed behind. She told me in a quiet voice that she was also going through a divorce. She felt like her life was finished. Tears came to her eyes. I listened and then shared more of my own story. The years of silence, the night of the divorce papers, the months of crying, the question in the mirror, and the first small drawing. Julia wiped her tears and said that if I could stand up again at my age, then maybe she could too. In that moment, I realized something powerful. My pain was no longer only pain. It had become a bridge to connect with others. The local newspaper later wrote a small article about our art group. They called me a woman who rebuilt her life, with colors and courage. The woman who once felt invisible now had her name in print. Chapter 7. When the past knocked on my door. Just when I thought my new life was stable, something surprising happened. One evening, after a long market day, I was washing my brushes in the kitchen when there was a knock at the door. The sound was soft but strong. My heart beat faster for no clear reason. When I opened the door, I froze. Standing there was my ex-husband. His hair was grayer. His shoulders looked smaller. His eyes did not have the same hard, distant look as before. For a few seconds, we just looked at each other. Memories ran through my mind like a fast movie. The early days of love, the long years of duty, the moment he asked for divorce, the first night alone, the months of crying. My hands started to shake slightly, but I did not step back. I simply said his name. He said mine. His voice was softer than I remembered. I moved aside and let him in. We sat at the table. He looked around the room. There were drawings on the walls, art materials on the shelf, and fresh flowers by the window. This was not the house he had left. He began to speak. He said he had heard about my work from a friend who saw my table at the market. He said he had read the little article in the newspaper. He said he was surprised and impressed. For so many years, he had not noticed my effort, and now he praised me. He took a deep breath and said that life after the divorce had not been what he expected. His new relationship had ended. He felt lonely. He realized, he said, that I had been a good wife. Then he said the words I knew were coming. I made a mistake. I should not have left. I want to come back. My chest felt tight, but I was not the same Maria who had once begged him to stay. I looked at him calmly. Part of me felt sad remembering the girl I had been, who would have given anything to hear those words before. Another part of me felt strong, like a tree that had survived a long winter. I thought about the nights on the floor, crying until my face hurt. I thought about the cold, empty place in bed, the silent phone, the heavy months. I thought about the first time I looked in the mirror and asked who I was. I thought about the market, the students, the women who said my story gave them hope. And I knew my answer. I told him in a quiet voice that I forgave him, but I could not walk backward into the old life. I said that I had built something new, something precious. I had found peace inside myself, and I would not give it up. His eyes filled with tears. He tried to argue. He said we could start again. He could change. He could support my art. But the words fell too late. They were like rain after the fire had already burned the old house and a new garden had grown in its place. I repeated gently that I wished him well, but my path was now different. After a long silence, he stood up. He walked to the door slowly. This time, when he left, I did not fall. I did not cry on the floor. I did not beg. I simply watched him go. When the door closed, I felt not loss, but a deep, clear peace. Chapter 8. Choosing Myself and Finding Peace. After he left that night, I walked to the mirror one more time. I looked at the woman standing there. Her hair had more white lines than before, but her eyes were bright. Her shoulders were straight. There was a calm smile on her face. I whispered to my reflection, "You did it, Maria. You chose yourself." In that moment, I understood something very clearly. Divorce had not destroyed my life. It had shaken it, broken it, and then opened it. It had forced me to see how much I had forgotten myself. It had pushed me to ask hard questions and to grow new courage. I still carried my memories, but they no longer controlled me. They were part of my story, like early chapters in a long book. Without them, I would not be who I am now, but they were not the end. I thought about the women in my class, about Julia and others who were still walking through their own dark tunnels. I realized that my journey was not only for me. Each time I shared my story honestly, someone in front of me felt less alone. Each time I said, "You can stand again," I was also reminding myself of the same truth. These days I wake up and feel grateful just to open my eyes. I enjoy small things. The taste of hot tea, the sound of rain on the window, the smile of a student who finally finishes a drawing, the quiet satisfaction of putting new savings into a small envelope. I am not rich in the way some people count money, but I am rich in peace. My home is simple, but it is full of my own colors and choices. No one shouts at me. No one controls my time. I can rest when I am tired and work when I feel strong. Sometimes people ask if I ever think about going back to my ex-husband, or if I feel sad when I see couples walking together in the park. Of course, I feel a little sad sometimes. I am human, but I do not wish to erase the path I have walked. I tell them, I gave one man my life once, and I lost myself. Now this life belongs to me, and I will live it fully until the last day. I do not hate him. I hope he finds his own peace. But my heart is no longer waiting at a closed door. It is open to the present. When I look at the sunrise now, I whisper a simple thank you, not for the pain, but for the strength that grew from it. I thank life for surprising me, for giving me a second chance at 68, for turning the word divorce from a dark stone into a key that opened a new door. And now, as you finish listening to my story, I hope you remember one thing most of all. Even when you feel broken, you are not finished. You can ask new questions. You can take small steps. You can build a different tomorrow. Your story is still being written, and you are allowed to be the main character. If this story helped you practice English and also touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share to support English Story Hub.